So let's kick things right off with 5 takeaways from PlatformCon 2025, from great platforms to doing AI right. First of all, who am I? Now, you've got a little bit of an abstract intro here for who I am, but simply, I'm the head of ecosystem at Platform Engineering. So part of that role means I get to have a full view on everything we're doing in the platform engineering space. I help Luca with Platform Weekly. I help write some of our white papers. I get a sense of all the research, and I get to be on the ground talking to people. I think I was the one of two people who has been to every single platform engineering live day. I was a panel moderator in London. I moderated our opening panel and I hosted PlatformCon New York. So that was super, super cool for me. And most of all, I'm a platform engineering super nerd. I've read basically every single thing that we have ever written, not just the ones written by me. I've read every Platform Weekly, Luca's awesome newsletter. I've watched, I would say, 85% of PlatformCon talks. Some of those were really amazing. Some of them were pretty tough. There's some really detailed stuff in there. But really, there's no one better for taking all the stuff at PlatformCon and shipping it all out to you guys. So, who are you? Well, if you're here, you probably already know that you're a part of a pretty special community. We've got this platform engineering YouTube channel that maybe you're watching it on, but maybe you're watching from Zoom. I think many of us are. We've got Platform Weekly, the largest platform engineering newsletter in the world. There's, of course, the Platform Engineering Slack, where I think many of us will talk about this over the next week. And then there's PlatformCon, the thing we're talking about today. So what is PlatformCon? That you all probably know, but I'm going to zoom in on PlatformCon 2025 and tell you some things that maybe you don't know. So, what was it? What was there? 255 virtual talks, 180 hours of content, 2 live days, 1,500 people in person, 40 partners helping us put it all together from basically every name in the platform engineering space. 45,000 people registered across everything. We had 9,500 people in workshops. NPS score, it's a very salesy number, but it's kind of the best way to understand, did people like it? And 47 is pretty good. People liked it. But most of all, to understand, do people like it? Do people talk about it? And well, 4.4 million eyes were on platform engineering content, and that comes from lots and lots and lots of posts from people like you talking about talks you like, from speakers all across the whole kind of universe of platform engineering. But most of all, what are we talking about today? We're going to cover 5 takeaways that I think are the most important things that you should take away from all the platform engineering content through PlatformCon. You don't need to watch all 180 hours. I did. So this is really the most important stuff. Platform engineering maturity. What does great look like in platform engineering? Shift down, not left. AI is an accelerant, and accelerants often explode. And platform engineering is eating the world. Well, there you go. There are the 5 takeaways. You can move on. All right. Platform engineering maturity. Platform engineering is not a baby anymore. That's the most important thing to really understand about the last 2 years or 3 years of platform engineering. In 2024, we had a PlatformCon Live day in London. I was really lucky to be there as well. It was the first time that we were there in person. And there in person, we opened with a panel like we usually do. And that panel was called basically, what is platform engineering? We talked for about 45 minutes, and the topic was, what is this thing? Is it the same as DevOps? How does it differentiate? How does it evolve from SRE? Is it the same as SRE? That is an interesting position to be in when in 2025, our opening panel was called, What is Great at Platform Engineering? That to me is a huge change. In 1 year, we went from what is platform engineering to what is great platform engineering. And I think that specific fact is really exemplary for PlatformCon as a whole. In previous years, there was a few talks that really zoomed in on lessons, on takeaways, on case studies. But for the most part, it was very surface level. It was very, this is what platform as a product is. This is why platform engineering is important. And 2025 could not have been more different. We have moved on completely from this. We are in the territory now of we're doing this. This is a thing. How do we do it great? How do we do it at its best? And I think that's something that is really, really, really interesting. And I think many of you have probably seen yourselves in your own environments. So let's zoom in right on that question. What is great platform engineering? We opened PlatformCon 2025 with a fantastic panel in London with Ricky from ThoughtWorks, having a great conversation about, what does this word actually mean? How can you define something like great in the context of platform engineering? Well, we put this fantastic panel of people together. We asked them, how do you define it? And quite simply, they defined it as great platforms achieve outcomes. It's as simple as that. That's really what you narrow it down to. And, when you think about what a good platform is supposed to do, there's 5 million things you can put in there. But the simple answer is a great platform achieves outcomes. Don't worry, I'll tell you more than that. Let me break down specifically the stuff that we talked about in regards to how you might want to guarantee that you achieve outcomes, or at least give yourself a better chance of achieving them. Great platforms understand that no two platforms and no two organizations are the same. What does that mean? Well, you could go read right now some fantastic case studies on great platforms that work incredibly well. You can go watch Google's PlatformCon talk and see exactly how they have structured their platform engineering initiative. But maybe you're not Google. Maybe you have incredibly strict security and compliance restraints. Maybe you are a gigantic oil company that really, doesn't have the same backbone technologically as Google might have. So maybe you can't make some of the same decisions that they do. So you shouldn't be basing your platform off of what Google is doing. But just the same, maybe you read an article about some fantastic approach you should take. And then when you peel back the curtain, well, the person writing that article is at a platform team of only works for 10 customers, 10 developers. That's not maybe not so scalable for your 1,000. If you get what I mean, great platforms understand that your platform is your platform based on your organization, based on your needs. So whether your needs are super high security, then your platform is probably going to optimize for security first. If your needs are high velocity, the only thing that matters is we need to get developers developing faster, we need to get features out, then your platform is going to represent that. That's the important thing to understand. So your platform is not going to be exactly the same, and thus your metrics should not be the same. How you measure it, how you approach it, how you think about it should not be the same. And as I carry on from that point, I listed lots of things there, lots of different examples of how a platform could look. And maybe your org wants all of those things. But if you start out trying to boil the ocean, as it were, try and grab all of those things, you're never going to get there. Your platform has to start small. You need to start small on things that you can control, that you can optimize for, that you can guarantee that you're going to get. Because if you don't guarantee that you're going to get them, then you're probably going to fail as a platform. You're going to lose funding and you're going to lose faith from the people above you who really want this platform to work. And that's a really key detail. I would recommend on that count, there's some great content on minimum viable platforms. I know Ajay is here and he has had some great, great conversations and topics on that. So maybe you can look him up and some of the work he's done after this as well. Now, starting small also makes it easier for this next point. Great platforms measure. 44% of platform engineers surveyed don't measure anything at all. If you don't measure, how can you know whether you're succeeding or whether you're failing? But more than that, how can you prove that you are succeeding and not failing? Now, it's simple enough to say just measure, but you also need to think about what you measure. And I think one of the key takeaways from PlatformCon is around measurement. And we have another great webinar coming up in I think in a couple months with ThoughtWorks, where we talk about I look, into detail on some of the metrics you might want to look at. But the key summary, measure usefulness, not vanity metrics. Now, usefulness, it's vague. You're going to ask me, what does that mean? I don't know what usefulness means for your organization. If your organization is really focused on security, then your usefulness metric is going to be something related to security. Now, not vanity metrics is a little bit of a touchy thing. Adoption could arguably be designed as a vanity metric. It's amazing if 80% of people are using your platform, but what does using it mean? Does that mean they click around on the console every so often because they have to be using it and they've been told, we can see that you haven't used it? Or does it mean that they're actually solving a problem or having their problem solved? And to that extent, or to follow on from that, great platforms don't over-index on DevX. I think this really is important to separate out into its own bullet point. We have written an incredible amount on DevX. Platform engineering and DevX, there's a very, very clear parallels there. It's a great story. There's so much great you can say. And it's a very obvious narrative, understandably, because it is really important. But like all of these points emphasized before, maybe DevX isn't the most important thing to your organization. Maybe it isn't. And also, maybe DevX isn't the most important thing to the people who control the money. If you want your platform to succeed, you need time. And if you need time, you need money. And to get those things, you have to convince the people above you. And maybe DevX isn't their priority. Maybe it's something else. And then, of course, the closing obvious point. Great platforms have a product mindset. We said it in PlatformCon 2022. We said it in 23, 24, 25. You need to think about the product mindset. If you don't, then you're not doing platform engineering. It's not enough to have a platform. It's not enough to have changed your name, your title on LinkedIn to platform engineer. You need to think about things through the lens of product mindset. And maybe that doesn't mean you yourself have to become a platform product manager, but it means your platform engineering initiative needs to have a platform engineering product manager. When I sat in on the ambassador roundtable in London, there was lots of different perspectives on this question because lots of different orgs did it slightly differently. We had one org where every single engineer must think product first. They grilled, turning them into product managers. And that worked for them. They were relatively smaller. Another org with 10,000 developers realized, well, maybe this doesn't work as well. Probably what we should do, let's ensure that every kind of unit size that they had designated, these within teams, would have a dedicated product manager, platform product manager. For them, it was one platform product manager per 12 developers, or for 12 platform engineers, excuse me. You know, it may not work the same at your organization. Again, you need to think about your organization. But if you don't have a product mindset, then you're not platform engineering. So, based on all of this, do you have a great platform? And I quite meanly say here, probably not. In London, we had 700 people in the audience. And of those 700, I asked them kind of after this little spiel and really focusing on this idea of achieves outcomes. Do you think you have a good platform? Out of 700 people in there, I would say about 9 raised their hand. I think that's something really telling. We're in a position now where we kind of know this. We have lots of resources, we have lots of materials, we're maturing, we're moving fast. It's not about what is platform engineering, it's about what is great, but we're not there. We know what it means, but we aren't there yet, clearly, as an industry. So, what's one other thing where we can think about how we might get there? Shift down, not left. Now, this I think is one of the my favorite kind of growing slogans in the platform engineering space. It's been peaking up a few times. We had a great PlatformCon talk last year focusing on this topic. We had a brilliant one this year from Google. So shift left. If you're listening to this, you probably know what shift left is. It means pushing the responsibilities like testing, compliance, security onto devs. But I will say this sucks, and most of the time it doesn't work. Sometimes it does, and when it does, it can be brilliant. Some people have incredible success with it. Some organizations have incredible success with it. Many don't. So what is shift down? Shift down means consolidating all of these items down into the platform itself. Rather than pushing them back through the chain onto the developer, what you're doing is you are consolidating all of this into the platform. So instead of every team solving the same problem hundreds of times, the platform team is automating it once and then providing it as a shared capability. So you're thinking about the platform as the thing that owns all of these kind of items rather than the developer. So your job as a platform engineer is really to identify these items. Obviously, it's not so simple as just saying security. That's a big bucket that includes lots of stuff. Well, your job as a platform engineer is to identify those pieces, the most high value, the most high ROI items, and then consolidate them into the platform. We all recognize this wonderful illustration of what shift left means. And I think Google gives a great kind of counter to how shift down can look. You see in the previous kind of way of thinking, assurance of quality attributes massively overweighs feature development. But once you've shifted down, you're then able to kind of flip these around. And what do they mean? What does Google mean by assurance of quality attributes? And I'll re-emphasize something I said at the beginning. Just because Google looks at all of these things as something within their platform, maybe you're not able to do the same. And maybe you shouldn't have your takeaway from this. We need to move all reliability into our platform right now. Google's doing it because that's not going to work. But you can see how Google has embedded all of these items into the platform. And that's something that maybe you can start to think about as well. So, AI, the very obvious topic. You knew I was going to talk about AI. Everybody knew I was going to talk about AI. It might be everywhere, but it might be delivering, but it isn't enough. We all knew it was going to be the big topic, um, and for very good reason. When you look for AI basically in our industry at the moment, it's everywhere. I would say about 40% of talks at PlatformCon featured AI in some form. About 30 of them were AI exclusive, almost only on the topic of AI. We had a panel on AI. We had workshops on AI. If you look at our upcoming community webinars like this one, and they will probably be a little bit less loosey-goosey than this one has been. No one will accidentally screen share all their other tabs that they've got open. But if you look at all of our awesome webinars that are coming up, AI, 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 AI. Very unsurprising. AI is taking over everything. But is that necessarily a good thing? Is it necessarily a bad thing? Well, it's a fact of life. At this point, there is no putting this genie back in the bottle. Google Cloud Research has done some great interviewing with senior leaders on their perspective around AI and platform engineering, and 94% of them see AI as vital to platform engineering's future, while 86% of them say platform engineering is key to unlocking AI's full business value. AI and platform engineering are symbiotically connected now. They will be kind of the two heads of a single-sided coin. We need platform engineering for driving AI. But we kind of need AI for helping to drive platform engineering, or at least to accelerate it. And we certainly can. We've all seen the power of AI at the moment. We've all seen the many, many cool things we can do with it. We're all using it every single day. And there's no reason why that won't be a massive accelerator for platform engineering. But is it yet? Well, when you think about platform engineering and AI intersecting at the moment, there's the two lenses, of course. And I'm quite excited to share that I'm currently working on, alongside Luca and Casper and many of the other contributors to the platform engineering community, a state of AI and platform engineering report where we've interviewed quite a large number of platform engineers. We've surveyed a bunch of platform engineers to understand how is that intersection actually taking place. And it's taking place primarily in two ways. AI powering and enhancing platforms, and platform engineering powering AI. Platforms built to support AI workloads and the like. Now, all that sounds amazing. Well, what's the negative? You need the fundamentals first. This has been the key takeaway across almost every single mention of AI, across almost every single platform engineering talk that features it. It's all well and good to start thinking about AI, to get a mandate down from your executive. Hey, let's AIify everything. But if you don't have the fundamentals of platform engineering, why are you building agents into your platform? If you don't have solid CI/CD, you don't have automated testing, you've got, the most unreliable delivery pipeline security, you have poor, super poor developer experience, you have a platform that, lacks a team really treating it like a product. You're making all of those mistakes I mentioned in the section on great platform engineering. Well, how is it going to help if you throw a bunch of AI into that? Is AI going to solve those problems for you? Well, all the speakers at PlatformCon kind of agree. No, you're not going to. One of my favorite quotes from Ricky from ThoughtWorks, why build an agent to generate test cases when you don't even have a test environment or unit tests in place? And I think many of you who are working with big organizations, maybe you yourself are inside a big organization, probably have experienced some of this yourself. You're thinking, hey, our platform needs a lot of work. Our platform team is still really trying to wrap this stuff together. And now it's like, okay, AIify everything. What does that mean? That's how we get to what's called the AI implementation plateau. So the AI implementation plateau is that stage of AI adoption where progress slows after the early hype as organizations face scaling, integration, and governance challenges before reaching sustainable maturity. Quite simply, we're all using AI. 88% of us are using AI. I don't know if there's anyone here who isn't using it, but 88% of platform engineers surveyed use AI. But of that 88%, they're mostly just using it for generating code and documentation. Those are immediate, quick wins. So you feel that momentum. You think, holy crap, I can generate 10 times as much code now as I could before. I can move so much faster. Documentation so much easier to write, so much easier to get through. Everybody's feeling that. Your boss is writing his emails 5 times faster. He's doing his reports. He's piecing things together. He's analyzing data. This is amazing. This is the easy stuff. This is the easy part of platform of AI. And so we see these quick wins and we think this is amazing. Let's just AI through everything. And then you really hit that wall of not being able to go further with it. Now, there's a lot of content on this topic in the State of AI Platform Engineering report. So when that comes out in a month or so, I would recommend giving it a read. But I think this is the most important really takeaway for you. If your boss is coming down from on high to say, how much AI do we have in the platform? Let's get AI in there. You know, maybe that is going to be a crucial element of getting budget. If that's the case, you need to figure it out. But you probably need to push back and be like, hey, the thing we need to focus on is those fundamentals. Because until you have those fundamentals, you're not going to be able to get the most out of this. Next, platform engineering is eating the world. No, this is a slogan that you've probably seen in Luca's newsletter, Platform Weekly. You've probably read an article. We had a PlatformCon talk on this exact topic, and it obviously mirrors a fantastic article from Mark Andreessen about software from, I think, about 10 years ago. If you haven't read the article, Why Platform Engineering Will Eat the World by Casper on the Platform Engineering Community blog, I would really recommend going and taking a look at that as soon as you can. I think it hypothesizes and predicts a few things that PlatformCon really made clear were happening. And I think this screenshot is a great example of it. So Platform Engineering Will Eat the World is about the expansion of platform engineering to new domains in the software engineering space. This expansion from, well, this is something for infrastructure and for driving DevX, to this is something for infrastructure and driving DevX, well, it kind of makes sense for all our security to be within the platform. It makes sense for these pieces of reliability, maybe all of the reliability, for privacy, accessibility, for thinking about some of our scalability questions. Maybe when it comes to data, it makes sense for the data to be interconnected to a platform, to the platform engineering initiative. That's really what this narrative, this idea is about. And it's been brewing for about a year now as the topic in webinars, the questions that get asked, and as you see the types of people who are starting to think more about platform engineering. Because if we go all the way back to great platform engineering, nothing I said in there was great platform engineering helps your developers get features out faster. That isn't great platform engineering. Could be for your org, but it isn't for everyone. I didn't say great platform engineering lowers your infrastructure costs. Could be for your org, but not for all of them. Platform engineering isn't just about developer experience and infrastructure. It's not about a bunch of infrastructure people focusing on infrastructure in a cool new way. Platform engineering is really about treating software, internal software, like a product, bringing those product best practices, those product principles, and using it to help drive better results. And those better results could be a stronger overview in your reliability. It could mean integrated security by design into a platform. So you don't have to worry about compliance challenges or, massive spread of your YAML files. And when you start to think about platform engineering through that lens, through the lens of really what it at its core is, there's a lot of stuff that can be built into a platform. There's a lot of stuff that platforms can cover. So we see this point now with many organizations, how these platforms are expanding, integrating new things, grabbing new domains, pulling in new disciplines, new departments are being integrated and flowing through the platform. And in the very best, most effective platforms, this is incredible and it's driving results. But I would caution here to remember the other point of great platforms. You want to start small and not boil the ocean. Don't look at every single thing on this screen here and think, well, platform engineering is eating the world. Platform engineering is going to eat all of these disciplines and all of this stuff pretty soon. So I should just jump right out and take it all over and start building all of these things now. You can't think like that. You still need to think small. You still need to think about your organization, and you still need to think about how you can get these steady steps, piece by piece, to scale this thing out and grow. And over time, maybe then you start adding in these new areas. Because based on every single person at PlatformCon, the talks where they talk about all our successes in the last year and the talks where they talk about all their failures, that's the big difference. All of the successes started small, proved results, measured, didn't expand too crazily, and then added in extra pieces as they went. And all the failures just blew themselves up too early. Or sadly, dragged on for 2 years and then blew themselves up then. So, what next? These are my 5 takeaways from PlatformCon. And I think an important thing to kind of understand, and some of you might be thinking, well, this is the obvious stuff. And I think that's also the most important takeaway from PlatformCon. The obvious stuff is there. We know what great platform engineering looks like. We know that AI is important. We know that shift left isn't the approach that we need to take for platform engineering going forward. We know that platform engineering is absorbing more domains. We've got lots of articles on it. We've got lots of resources on it. But many of us already kind of understand these things. And yet, when you ask a room of 700 to put their hands up, well, only 9 do. Only 9 of them have good platforms. So, what can you do next to try and not be those 9 and try and be those 700? First things first, there's 180 hours worth of PlatformCon talks to go check out. Obviously, you don't have to watch every single one. I think that would be crazy. What I would really start with is the live day recorded talks. There's only 10 there, about 20 to 30 minutes each, and the seven New York talks. Go through and watch those. Pick the ones that are relevant to you. Andre from Bekla has a fantastic talk on, military grade platform engineering if you're dealing with a really high security case, or Google's talk on shifting down and just seeing what Google is doing. Toby Tran from the NBA, Tony Tran, excuse me, from the NBA, has a fantastic talk on what the NBA is doing to drive velocity, if that's what you need. So there's really a PlatformCon talk featuring almost every single thing that you might need to look for your specific platform engineering case. So I'd really start there. Or if you want a little bit more of a curated go, then come and join me in one of our platform engineering courses. There's a few people here in the chat who, if you're here, can give a thumbs up and recommend these courses to you. But we've got a really wide range in the Platform Engineering University. We've got two certifications, a practitioner certification and a professional one, which cover basically everything you need to know from a platform engineering perspective. You can start right off with the free Intro to Platform Engineering course if you want to start there and get a sense of it. Or if you want to get a little bit more specific, we have a lot more courses coming that focus on more specific areas and ideas within platform engineering. The cloud development environments for platform engineers is right there now for you to take. Lots of great information from some of the people at Gitpod and Coder who helped put that together. But we've got courses coming on AI platform engineering, on leadership. There's courses on Kubernetes multi-cluster management, courses on observability for platform engineering. So I would really recommend popping in and taking a look at some of these if that's what you want. But most of all, come be active in the community. You know, you are a super special community, and if you're here, you're probably a part of it already, but maybe you just watch the community workshops or community webinars. You don't know that there's Platform Weekly you could be reading every week. You don't know that we have hundreds and hundreds of hours on the YouTube of platform engineering content or the platform engineering Slack, where you could come send me some questions or get involved and talk to me. So I think my face is just uncovering my plus one. So that's you. I'd love to see you join. I'd love to see you message me on Slack, and I'd love to talk to you guys more and talk about platform engineering and discuss your takeaways. What did you learn from PlatformCon? And what do you think is the most important thing for us to focus on going forward? So thank you so much really for watching this. Yeah, I see Chris Campbell. We see your Slack. Yeah, I buggered that up. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And I think we can do a few minutes of questions if anyone wants to ask any. Oh, Siva, I see you're first. Your courses are expensive. Why? I think it's a good and it's a fair question, but really it's because we have someone there every week showing you hands-on. So Mallory Hage, who's our platform therapist, some of you might know her from some of our webinars, is there every week, kind of taking you through things piece by piece, answering every question that you've got, spending a bit of dedicated focus if you need it, answering questions and really helping out. So I think and if I think that's an element for the cost. And if it's something that you're interested in, you can reach out to me via email and maybe we can figure something out. Christian Javier, what should the best language to build platforms today? Well, I think that question kind of emphasizes a challenge or an issue with the entire nature of the question, really. The languages that you're using are not the most important part of platform engineering. Of course, languages are super important. The most important parts of platform engineering are going to be the product mindset, thinking about things from a product perspective, focusing on those things that we talked about for understanding measurement. The tech that you use is never going to be the biggest definer. Mhm. Out of all the platform examples you've seen during the con, was there a few that surprised you? A favorite example. Yeah, I popped up on the screen for a moment there, but I was running a little bit out of time, so I skipped through it. Andre from Beckler, he works a lot with very, very, very high security cases in Germany, and they are very strict requirements on their platforms. So when you think about a platform that probably needs to be secure at the absolute highest level, chop almost everything out of it, and yet still deliver results, that's kind of an interesting challenge. So I would recommend taking a look at that. I think that's quite an interesting one. Yeah. Okay. Then this is a perfect talk for you to go look at and understand that. Um, in the recommendation of starting small, which features and aspects of platform engineering have you seen as the most successful when building a success case for upper management? Well, to answer that, you need to zoom in on that bullet point of not all platforms are the same. And this is kind of a tough thing for people to think about. I don't know what your upper management care about. I know what my upper management care about, but I don't know what yours do. And I think this is something that can make platform engineering really hard for platform engineers. You need to speak the language of your developers. You also need to speak the language of that upper management or find someone who you trust who can and try and get a sense of what they want and what they care about. And then you need to break down what they care about into something that you can integrate into the platform. If they are really, really, really concerned about security, I always use this as an example because it's something that people often forget about. We write a lot about increasing velocity, improving DevX, but maybe in this current cybersecurity environment, it's a much more high risk world. Maybe security is the thing they care about, and you need to break that down into the consummate parts that you can control. So that is kind of a not as nice an answer to your question, Thomas. I know you'd love if I just say do ABC, but you need to really understand what your upper management care about and then break that down into the technical element and then integrate that into the platform. What are the main benefits of the courses you offer? Well, I think the main benefit is simply there's 180 hours of PlatformCon content from this year. There's about another 200 from last year, hundreds of workshops and webinars, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of articles and reports. It's an absolutely gigantic amount of stuff for you to go through all yourself. And so what the course does is the course takes all of those pieces and basically breaks it down week by week, guided, introducing you to each concept. So you could go in with zero understanding of platform engineering and come out with some of the strongest in the industry. Or you could come in with a really strong understanding of platform engineering, but not a strong sense of how to communicate it to your boss, to your colleagues, how to sell it internally. And it will give you that too. So it focuses on the technical elements just enough to help you get a sense of it. It also gives you a sense of the kind of the product management elements. So whichever perspective you're coming from, it gives you a fleshed out breakdown of that. And there's no other course really out there that covers all of those areas all together. And I host it. I help moderate it alongside our incredible host, Mallory Christian. So if you liked this webinar and you like some of the stuff I put out, opposed to accidentally sharing my Slack there for a second, which I think was quite hilarious. Other than that, I think it's a lot of good content, Christian. So feel free to take a look on the website or send me a message on Slack and I can talk to you more about it. Elizabeth, where can I collaborate with platform engineers worldwide? Which platform would you recommend if I want to develop a startup? Well, I'm obviously very biased. I would recommend going to platformengineering.org, reading some of the stuff there, and joining the community, joining Slack, introducing yourself, saying hi, talking about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, share your questions, and I'm sure there are people who'd love to work with you. Like, biased answer, but that's the best one I've got. I think we're a few minutes over, and I started a few minutes late, so hopefully it all balances out in the end. I want to thank you guys so much for bearing with me here. And oh, I see one more question just popped in. Sorry about that, actually, from Chris Campbell. Is there a way to query the PlatformCon videos? For example, is there a YouTube from PlatformCon that explicitly showed DevOps SRE versus platform engineering roles and responsibilities? Yes, we do have those things. So on that topic, not within PlatformCon, but if you go and search within the platform engineering website, we have content exactly on that topic. We even have a YouTube video talking about exactly and explicitly DevOps versus SRE. So you can go find those quite easily within the community. Other than that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I'm sorry for the shakiness, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I. We kept it casual. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Nice to see you all, and I can't wait to see you in Slack and in the next webinar. Thanks, everybody.